it's wrong for Roisin to say that this is not working. She blames air travel, which contributes to 2% of the overall cases also. So some of her information is factually incorrect.
OK, well, you mentioned air travel there, and I want to move on to that because, of course, Ireland, along with the rest of the EU member states, have signed up to this new traffic light travel system. The Cabinet will have to decide, I think, on Tuesday how to implement it because there is, what emerged after that meeting last week in Brussels is that there is no harmonised European approach to the testing and the quarantining at our airports. Paul, you're obviously following this very, very closely. It's vital for your industry.
Totally. Like, not just our industry, like it's the single biggest Indigenous employer in terms of inbound tourism, the domestic tourism market, outbound tourism, 350,000 people, owners of those businesses anxious about retaining their staff and doing everything they possibly can. So it is hugely important that we take an adult approach to how we manage this. We rely on 20 million tourists per year coming into this country. Now, yes, we're in a crisis. But what we want to do is look at the way in which we can reintroduce travel in a safe environment, in a COVID negative environment as we possibly can.
Were you very disappointed with what emerged out of Europe last week?
Well, traffic lights by their very nature change colour. And I think, it was indicative of, a total kicking the can down the road scenario with what happened with the traffic lights. The traffic light system is just not going to work because the position can move too quickly. So green goes to orange, goes to red, and how we even have grey in there is beyond a joke. What we need to have is pre-departure airport testing in the airports so that passengers who are travelling feel confident and safe that they're on an aircraft with other COVID negative people. They're travelling to a destination. The destination is aware that they're COVID negative. And when we have guests coming into Ireland, those 20 million people, they're not going to come back next year. They're going to come back in smaller numbers, we hope. But we want them to come back and we want them to arrive in a COVID negative, in a test environment where they've had a test pre-departure.
I see the Irish Times reporting today that the state here is beginning to test these new rapid COVID-19 antigen kits. And they could roll them out nationwide by the end of the year. I mean, that would be a game changer, wouldn't it?
It would totally be a game changer. And what's happening at present is that they're testing antigen alongside PCR to test the validity, so that they're trying to, inform the community and build confidence with everybody, not just the people who are travelling, but us as a community who are going to be here welcoming these people when they come into the country. Our airports, our aviation sector, our hotel sector are reliant on this. Like, these are 350,000 real jobs. Everybody in this country is anxious about COVID, but it's quite a divided pandemic in terms of everybody feels that anxiety, but layer on top of that the economic piece when you have job insecurity, when you have job cuts, when you're lying awake at night trying to think, how do I sustain my business? How do I retain my staff? So from that point of view, we have to be quite open-minded as to how we achieve this, but it has to be based on testing. And that's the solution. The traffic lights won't result in what we need to happen. OK,
let me put that to the Minister. Minister, trade promotion is your brief. You must be concerned about what's happening with connectivity in relation to this. Will this be rolled out? And when will it be rolled out?
I'm very concerned, and as we know that there is an essential travellers list that facilitates essential workers to travel right now. That's important to keep our supply chains open, etc., and to ensure that essential workers in the medical profession and else can travel. But we do need to open up our travel industry again. It's critically important from a tourism perspective, from a trade perspective. And while the traffic light system may have some drawbacks, the benefit of what was agreed earlier this week in the General Affairs Council in Luxembourg is that it will enable each individual country determine what they're going to do when the states are orange and red. And I welcome the fact, and it's something that I had suggested to Minister Donnelly early, is for the need to ramp up the testing for the antigen tests, because I do believe that will be a game changer. It will enable us to roll out pre-travel tests and will enable us to open up what is, in my mind, a very important industry.
Well, a very important industry. But the aviation industry, very important, and they get paid a lot of lip service, but they themselves out last week saying that they feel they were demonised and abandoned basically by the government.
Well, we are a member of the European Union. I think we do have to look at this in a across European perspective, and that has happened. An agreement was reached as I said, on Tuesday gone in the General Affairs Council. It's now down to each respective government to police their own jurisdiction and to come forward with proposals in terms of how they will deal in a scenario where people are travelling from orange or red regions. Obviously, in a green region, there's no travel restrictions, but in areas of
and also
orange
there's no
and
green
red,
region
there have
right
to-
now.
No, Katie, like
There's not, because unfortunately, because the pandemic is not only increasing in Ireland, it's increasing right across Europe. But what we will be doing,
Paul wants to come in there, Minister Paul
Katie, like
Hackett.
the traffic lights are not going to work. There is no harmonisation. So there is no consumer confidence. What we've got to understand is travel is not all about leisure. Travel is leisure. It's corporate travel. It's the IDA. It's Enterprise Ireland. It's foreign direct investment. It's all of that, as well as visiting friends and relatives. The non-nationals who live here getting to their families getting into them. You know, the only way that we're going to see this is removal of quarantine and the introduction of testing. And it's available. The DAA have said they can do it. Dalton Phillips sat in front of the Oireachtas committee the other week and made a proposition. It's sitting with the Department of Transport. This needs to get implemented, because we go back to the other points. We need the economy to feed our health service, to feed our social welfare service, to feed our education system, and we've got to understand the interconnectivity here.